my gorgeous lot, it's Mega Gran here again with another episode from Vintage Story. Now then, what have I been up to? Well, as you can see, I've been panning quite a bit and I got quite a few nuggets from panning. Not enough to do any smithing, but enough to fill some moulds. So I chose to do an axe head and I chose to do a long blade head. Now, because you have to get up close and personal to use a long blade, I'm not quite sure how often I'll be using it, if at all. And being a malefactor, I am quite limited in the type of weapon that I can make. I mean, the sling was my thing. But because I could make a sword from a mould, I thought I better do it. And it seems you can make it out of different types of metals, so it suggests that it would get stronger. So maybe I should practice with it. But I really wanted to make a saw. But I couldn't make a saw until I had an anvil. I couldn't make an anvil until I'd got a lot more copper, because I need 900 units of copper to make the anvil. And even if I'd got all that copper, I couldn't make an anvil without an anvil mould. And it was night time. And at night time, you could usually find me doing some napping. And on this occasion, in anticipation of me getting a lot of copper, I decided to nap my anvil mould. And there it was. And now I just needed to fire it in a pit. Now, I was waiting for OreSkull to come on because he was going mining and I was going with him. And I was hoping to get lots of copper. So in the meantime, I did lots of little jobbies around the house, and one of them was extending the garden. I came across quite a bit of medium fertility soil earlier, so I gathered quite a bit of it and I thought I'd add that to the garden. I'd love to find some of that terra preta. That's the best type of soil, but unfortunately I haven't come across it as yet. But I am keeping my eyes open because you never know what's around the corner. And I made quite a few mud bricks and I used that as a border around the soil. And then on top of that, I put a fence. And once that bottom edge of the fence is done, I think I'd feel quite safe because nothing can get in from the lake. Nice. I left little pockets of water to moisturise the soil, and I wasn't quite sure at this point how much soil each pocket would moisturise. And then it was time to go and do some mining for copper. Apparently we were travelling quite a ways. I hadn't been here before, but Ore had. It was to a lake that had been dubbed the Cursed Lake. Oh my goodness, I didn't like the sound of that at all. But we headed south. We had to pass the wolf-ridden forest that was south of Maddie's base, on the south shore of the lake. It was a bit dicey. There had been groups of 3 or 4 wolves at a time being spotted, and Maddie had come a cropper once or twice, and so had I. But OreSkull had travelled a lot, and he'd had a lot of practice with wolves, so I was sticking close to him. And it wasn't long before he spotted one. So he went straight for the kill. I didn't want to interfere though, but I had my sling at the ready, just in case. But it was all under control. Nice. Maybe I should practice with a bow and arrow. Once the immediate threats were sorted, we were on our way. And we set off at a pace, hoping to get to the lake before nightfall. We kept up the pace as much as we could on the flat ground, but there were a lot of hills in the way, and they slowed us down quite a bit. Even the smaller hills were quite hard to get up and over sometimes. But where the terrain was a bit flatter, we could pick up the pace again. There's quite a bit of food to find along the way as well, and Ore had got into the habit of eating on the run, whereas I'd brought my food with me, so I had a full inventory. I made a few waypoints on the map as we passed significant structures, like this one, made of cobble, and I fancied coming back for all that. We swam quite a bit as well. It was easier than traversing some of the terrain. This was a big hill. Hadn't been up one this big before. It was quite hard to traverse as well. Quite steep. Good job I had some blocks on me. And it was pitted with big watery holes. Long way down. So I watched Ore for a bit, see how he traversed the hills. He seemed to be doing okay. I, on the other hand, had a little bit of trouble. And instead of landing on the block I was aiming for, I catapulted myself right past it. I didn't take too much damage though. It wasn't too bad, and I managed to pillar up. Took a bit more care after that. Didn't have too many accidents with holes. And before long, we were on top of the hill. And it was pretty rugged terrain all the way along the top of these hills. A lot of going up and a lot of coming down. The best thing was that we hadn't seen any wolves once we'd passed the forest. And I almost wished I hadn't brought so much food with me, because I couldn't pick anything new up. Although the scenery was absolutely gorgeous, the terrain didn't get any easier at all. And the craggy hills and pits were quite challenging, and I often took a little bit of damage as I was trying to get down. And noticed my grunts as I landed heavily on a number of occasions. And he whipped out a little remedy I hadn't seen before. A horsetail poultice made from reeds. A bandage that healed 2 health points. So I had one of those, but I saved the other one, just in case. And then we carried on and tried to keep up the pace, because we still had quite a long way to go. And as we got nearer to the lake, we started seeing different types of rock. And I was quite surprised when we got there safely, with the only injuries having been self-inflicted.
It's technically a lake, but it feels like an ocean.
Oh, but you survived in it. It was just that it distorted your view. Is that what it is?
No, I actually did die the first time.
Oh.
Because I didn't know I had to leave the area. So if we go, here's the lake right here.
Right. Why have I got all this stuff? Oh, it's just rubbish I've picked up along the way. We get that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's another thing that...
Whoa.
Yeah, this is all gravel.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I take it we can... Oh, I'm dying in just a minute. I take it we can put our beds down and set our spawn.
Are you starving?
No. Well, I was just keeping it low. I have got some food of various things.
There's some meat pie.
Meat pie?
Amount.
Wow.
Yeah, red meat pie.
Oh, nice. Okay, I shall try that out then. Thank you.
Yeah, beds don't set our spawn, but it would at least let us pass through the nights, because I didn't know if we'd make it here before sundown. And as you saw, a lot of this way is forest.
Yeah.
Now, if you notice, right as I'm standing here...
Oh, yeah.
What direction is your gear spinning?
Yeah, it's going anti-clockwise.
Yep. So literally, as soon as you get on the beach of this lake, your sanity starts dropping.
Right. Oh my
Let's
goodness.
see. I found there's extremely rich iron ore here. There's tons of copper. Ready to dive?
Yeah.
This goes down to almost the bottom of the world. It goes down to depth 18.
Oh, wow. Okay, then. Right, I'm coming down. We don't have to worry about our air, do we? It's just the...
No.
Okay.
Just the sanity.
Okay.
Which we need to return to the trader before that hits 0.
Right, which... Is it the health bar, then, that we're talking about?
No, the sanity, the gear, it actually depletes. Mine's already at 94%.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, copper here. So...
Yeah, look around. There's copper everywhere down here.
Nice.
Probably enough to get everyone in Anvil. Each piece that we're mining right now is worth 4 nuggets.
All right, okay.
And I even got some crystalline pieces, which are worth, like, double.
Right.
Literally, as the water kind of fights you as well down here.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean now by it depleting the
gear?
The gear, yeah. Oh, yeah, it does fight you a bit.
Yeah. And probably when it hits about 30, we should head back to the trader so it goes back up.
Right.
Because I think it was around when it hit 15 is when I started taking damage.
Oh, right,
Not much.
okay.
It was
Whoops,
really
daisy.
slow. It was like 0.2 damage, like every couple seconds.
Yeah,
But I didn't realize I had to leave the area.
right.
So like I stayed on the shore and like placed a fire and tried sleeping through the night.
Right, so did you have to come all the way back?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. It was a long way as well.
Yeah. But worth it for all of this.
Yeah. So where do you see the number of the gear then?
If you just mouse over the gear, it tells you what percent you're at.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Okay then.
The lower it gets, you might start hearing noises.
Oh.
Yeah, apparently in the game it's actually called temporal stability, not sanity.
Right, okay.
But it makes more sense when we call it sanity.
It does.
Ooh, this is rich copper.
There's two different
That
types
is-
of copper here. Oh, rich
It's
chunk
a-
and medium chunk. Oh, I wondered why it wasn't going in my inventory, but it's going in now. I've made space for it.
Yeah.
So two different types.
So the rich ones are worth 5 nuggets each.
Okay.
How's your sanity doing?
Yeah, well, I'm hearing noises. And my things are, let me see, 58%.
Yeah.
My cog.
Same.
So you can't repair picks then? You have to let them break and
Yeah.
make a new one? Alright, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
We're probably gonna break a few hammers getting all this ore as well.
Alright, yeah, you have to smash them, don't you, to get the nuggets out. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, make sure to mark this area on your map.
Oh, I definitely will. Right, mine's 24% now.
Yeah, we should probably head to the surface.
Right.
Oh, there's more copper behind you. Look at this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, here's the iron.
Oh, yeah, that's what iron looks
So
like.
this is the rich
Ah.
quality. And a little closer to the trader is the bountiful quality.
Right. Oh, we're at the top.
What? In-game time. We can sleep through the night
Whoops.
if Maddie is at her base. Yeah, as soon as we get to... Yeah, because if we sleep, our sanity will go up a little faster.
Right.
Here we go. As soon as you come here, your gear starts
yeah,
going in the correct way.
Yeah, it's going the other way. That's good. 17. Oh yeah, it's going down quite a bit, isn't it?
The gear's not going faster though. What?
It's going forward still, but...
Mine's back only to 25. Oh wait, what's this? Ooh, bismuth! It says I can break it. I think we need this for some of the alloys.
Bismuth ore?
Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, it's used for some of the alloys.
Oh, right, okay. What's this over here? Granite rock.
Hmm?
Granite requires 2 copper to break. So is that... Oh, was I looking for some granite the other day for something? I can't remember.
We need either granite, peridot, whatever this green stuff is called. They're used for the pulverizer and the querns.
Ah,
So if you separate, so all adjacent ones are gone, you get the actual
you get
block.
the actual rock. Oh, wow.
And that's what you need to make the querns.
Alright. So the quern is what you ground things in?
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm making
Yeah.
the windmill, so I can, so essentially you don't need to do it by hand anymore. I think that's enough if you wanted to make a quern now.
Right. Okay, I've got 5. Had to have a look at the trader, of course, since I was there. He was a very chirpy chappy, and he had lots of different things. He was a commodities merchant. And as with the other traders, they would change what they were selling in a couple of days' time, so it was always good to go back and have another look. Oh, we're staying to do some more mining, but I decided it was time for me to go back home. It was very early morning, so I was having to use my torch to get about, but soon it was daytime, and the only real struggles I had was trying to negotiate the terrain. But I don't think I did too badly in negotiating the terrain and trying to find ways around it when I came to big pits and valleys. I must say though, the terrain did look a little bit different from when we travelled this way, and I wasn't quite sure whether it was just because I was facing in the opposite direction. It often confuses me, does that? And just as it was when we set out, my inventory was packed jam full. I couldn't actually pick up anything that I found along the way, and I managed to avoid the odd wolf that was sleeping by rushing off in the opposite direction. And that's probably why I ended up north of the town hall. I'd managed to go right around our little lake area, but at least now I knew where I was. And as I passed the town hall, it was really nice to feel that I was on the right track. And just over this little hill was Grimer's place, with his bees, and his veggies, and his chickens. It was so nice to be home. And before I started all the smelting, I thought I'd finish my garden. I wanted it to be enclosed and safe. And it didn't take that long, really. I'd be glad to get my saw, though. I'd love to make better fences than these, and there are some very nice fences to be had. I made some little oil lamps as well, from fat and bowls, and I put those on the corners, so there'd be at least some light there. I also made the quern, and I'd be using this to grind some bones to make some fertiliser for the garden. I'm not really very good at remembering that grid at all. But I get there in the end. And there it was. My quern. So I popped it in the corner, but I was too eager to be smelting to do anything with it. So I got my hammer and I got my copper to see how much I'd really got. Wow! So each piece of this native copper, this rich chunk of native copper, gave me 5 units of copper. So that gives me 2.5 stacks of native copper. Nice. So now I needed to get the rest to see how much I'd got in all. So I'd got some more of the medium. That was this bit here. And when I smashed that up with a hammer, I got 70. My last little chunk of 8 pieces of rich native copper gave me another 40. I wanted a little go with my quern before I went downstairs. I put in some bones, which gave me bone meal. And looking it up in the wiki, if your soil is deficient in phosphorus, then you could use this to improve your soil for pumpkins, onions and parsnips. So after that, I started off the smelting process. And one of the things I needed was a forge. And while I were upstairs, I thought I might as well make one. So that was my forge. I thought I'd go downstairs and find somewhere to put it. There's only a little cellar, this. I'd have to do something about that in a bit. And I thought here would be a good spot for that, right next to my clay oven. So that's where I put that. And then I had a few things that had finished firing just now. One was a jug, and I'd made 4 ingot moulds because I was hoping to make some ingots tonight as well. So I'd got me ingot moulds, I'd got me forge, and I'd got my anvil mould. I could see OreSkull out there. Wonder what he was up to. So I went out to see. He seemed to be having a bit of problem getting in. And yes, I really needed to get some more gates in my fence. He had to come right round. There we go. And he came to deliver a lantern, which was absolutely fantastic. Lanterns give you a lot of light and they didn't go out when you went in the water. You could buy them off a trader, but you couldn't make them without an anvil. So that was a pretty cool present. I thought I'd measured out 200 units of copper, so I grabbed my crucible and went downstairs to start off the smelting process. I was getting quite excited now, actually. I got my charcoal and started a fire pit. And then I noticed I'd already got some copper in my crucible, but it was solid, so I had to smelt it to be able to pour it out. So I heated it up, and as soon as it was smelted, I popped it into an ingot. Didn't fill it up, of course, because it needed 100, and there was only 20 in there. But it enabled me to put the rest of my copper in that I'd brought with me. But it was then that I'd noticed that I'd only brought 128 and not 200. But I left it in because I needed to go and help Maddie, who was having trouble with wolves. So I went upstairs and popped the ingot molds down. I didn't need to bring those with me. I made sure I had my sling and some stones, totally forgetting that I needed some blocks as well. And off I went to keep an eye out for any wolves while Maddie got her stuff back. It was always difficult when you got killed by a wolf because they quite often stayed around the area where you got killed and all your stuff is there. So it's really good if somebody else can keep an eye out and just be a diversion for the wolves, if nothing else. I didn't have much to do while I was stuffing my face. She actually found her stuff, managed to get it and come back without any fuss from the wolves. So that was quite good. Once she'd got her stuff, I decided to stay out, seeing as it was daytime. I could do my smelting at night time, so I'd do it when I get back. So I thought I'd go west of my base. I certainly wasn't going south. I'd been to that area before and got some quite good results hunting. So I thought I'd have another go today. And it wasn't very long before I came across a ram, minding its own business. Just ripe for killing. So I got my sling out and I started throwing my stones. I thought it was just going to be standing there and I thought it would just let me kill it. But no, it ran off with its mate behind him. So I carried on throwing my stones and it hit its mate a couple of times. And she was not too happy. Not happy at all. Oh my goodness. I needed to get up. So I got up, but she didn't follow me. So I had to go back and find her. There she was, and she came again. And I just wasn't quick enough getting on my dirt before she got me another time. I was now nearly dead. I managed to get up and started throwing stones at her again. And she ran. So I didn't waste my time running after her, and I wanted to get the meat off this ram that I'd killed. I thought I'd lost it. But no, it was there. Oh my goodness, I didn't like the sound of that at all. So I moved on and I came across another couple. And I was quite careful just to involve the ram on this occasion. But he came charging at me and I had no chance of getting away. And with so little health and so little time to pull her up, that was me rammed to death yet again. And yet again, I was on my way back to try and get my stuff. But it was getting quite late. By the time I'd got back, it was quite dark. So I grabbed a torch, grabbed some food, and made a beeline for the coords that I'd jotted down when I died. Another thing that would be helpful on this little trip was the fact that I had that lantern in my inventory, and that would be on the floor and it would be lit, so it would be something that I could look for in the distance. So off I went. It was scary. It was dark, and there were things out there. At least there were no rifts and it was calm. So I headed north until I got to the coords that I needed. Then I took a left turn and headed into the shrubbery. The terrain wasn't too difficult and I kept going at a pace. I was just heading towards those coords now. And if I had it right, they would be right in front of me at some stage. It was fairly quiet. I hadn't heard any wolves. And there it was, a pile of my stuff on the floor. Thank goodness for that. Had to juggle a little bit though, my inventory was full. But I got back home without much of a problem, and I was quite chuffed about that. So now I could turn my focus back on smelting. I had forgotten I'd put my crucible in the fire pit actually, and now it was all solidified, so I'd have to heat it up again. Which didn't take that long really, because it was still on fire. So I just placed it back in the fire pit and waited for it to reach the appropriate temperature. And once it did, I whipped it out. But of course, it didn't have enough units for me to fill the anvil, so I put in all that I had. And then I filled up the crucible again. And then I filled up the anvil. And it would take a little bit of time to cool. I was able to fill up the rest of that ingot. And I just had 300 units of copper left. And that would fill up the extra 3 ingot moles that I had. And that was empty, but I still had some more copper I could do, but I didn't want to do it right now because I wanted to make my saw. But I'd have to wait for this copper to cool. So I'll show you how I got on with that in the next episode. So take care everybody, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.